Hello everyone, my name is Shivanshu Shukla. I welcome you all in my YouTube channel Let's Rock. This is the fifth and the last part of BHUPAT 2010 question paper. In this part, I have provided solutions of questions from economic geology, paleontology and stratigraphy, which will not only helpful in PG entrance exam of different central universities, but also for JAM and GATE aspirants. If you like this series, please click the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Let's start. First question says, kimberlites are important because. To answer this question, first you should know what are kimberlites. Kimberlites are a variety of petrotite which are potassic rich, ultra basic and hybrid igneous rock. These are derived from the earth's mantle, probably greater than 140 km depth. And these contains mantle xenolith of olivine, garnet, pyroxene, spinel and sometimes diamond. So let's check the options. First option says they contain crustal xenoliths. Clearly this is incorrect statement because kimberlites contain mantle xenolith. They exhibit phenitization. Phenitization is a alkali metasomatism phenomena which is observed in the carbonatite body. Basically, it is alteration into a greenish rock consisting of K feldspar, azurine and alkali hornblende. And this alteration is a consequence of the high alkali elements and volatiles content of carbonatite melt that are released during saltification. So this phenitization is not a phenomena of kimberlite. This is exhibited by carbonatite body. So this is also an incorrect statement. Next statement says they host diamond. Clearly this is the correct answer because kimberlites often host diamonds. Okay, along with kimberlites, lamproids are other igneous rock which host diamond. Okay, so but not all kimberlites and lamproid contain diamond, and those that contain it is present only in minute concentration. So as far as this question is concerned, the correct answer is they host diamonds. Next question says, which of the following are used in steel industry? So let's check these ores that these are used in steel industry or not, and if used, in which process these are used in steel industry. First one is coal. Steel industry uses coal coke to smelt iron ore into iron to make steel. The high temperatures created by burning of coal coke give steel the strength and flexibility needed for bridges, buildings and automobile. So clearly coal is used in steel industry. Manganese ore is a raw material in steel industry and it is used in the form of ore as such and as ferromanganese ore. And it is also used for desulfurization and oxygen control of the melt, and it also improves the strength, toughness, hardness and workability of the steel. Next option says limestone, dolomite and quartz. So limestone and dolomite are used as fluxing material in the blast furnace in steel industry, while quartz is used as pebbles in rotating ball mills for grinding metallic ores in steel industry. So clearly all these are used in steel industry. So the correct answer is all of the above. Next question says the largest iron ore deposits of igneous origin are found in. So this question is precising that iron ore deposit should be of igneous origin and also should be the largest. So first option is India. India is fourth among all the countries which are iron producing country. Okay, so clearly it is not the largest iron producing country. So this is not the correct answer. Denmark is not even in the top 10 of iron ore deposit occurring countries. Okay, so Denmark is also incorrect statement. Sweden. In Sweden there is a Kiruna town, and on that name there is a Kiruna type deposit which is massive magnetite apatite volcanic deposit, and it hosts the world's largest underground mine. Okay, and these are volcanic associated oxide deposits. So clearly Kiruna type deposit is the largest iron ore deposits of igneous origin, clearly of igneous origin, and it is situated in Sweden. So the correct answer is your Sweden. Next option is Australia. Australia is the world's largest crude iron ore reserve, and according to report, Australia is the first country in the iron ore producing country in the world. Okay, and most of the iron ores are present in the Western Australia. and these are basically of sedimentary iron ore deposits. Clearly says Algoma type, which is characteristic of Archean greenstone belt. Okay, so next question is hydrothermal ore deposits of mesothermal type are formed at which temperature? So before answering this question, let's discuss about hydrothermal ore deposit. What are hydrothermal ore deposits? So first of all, hydrothermal means hot water with possible temperature of 50 to 500 degrees Celsius, and the deposits formed by this hydrothermal process are known as hydrothermal ore deposits. And these are basically categorized in three types: epithermal, mesothermal, and hypothermal. Epithermal means low temperature deposits formed far away from the intrusive body, and the temperature ranges between 50 degrees Celsius to 200 degrees Celsius. For first and the second option contains epithermal deposits. Next is 200 to 300 degrees Celsius. This belongs to mesothermal deposits, and these are the intermediate temperature deposits which are formed at some distance outward from the intrusive igneous mass. So the temperature range of mesothermal deposit is 200 degrees Celsius to 300 degrees Celsius. Next is 300 to 500 degrees Celsius. This is the temperature range of hypothermal deposit, and these deposits are high temperature deposits which are formed close to the intrusive body. As far as this question is concerned, this question was asking about mesothermal type, and the temperature range of mesothermal type is 200 to 300 degrees Celsius. So the correct answer is 200 to 300 degrees Celsius. Next question says, the chromite deposits of Orissa are found in. So basically, in all these options, there is a locality. We have to tell that which of the following locality belongs to chromite deposit of Orissa. So chromite deposit of Orissa are stratiform and embedded graded deposits in Nausahi Sukinda area. So let's check the options. First one is Sukinda. So this is the correct answer. Let us check the other option also. Sitampundi. Sitampundi is chromite deposit of Salem district, Tamil Nadu. Ratnagiri and Bhandara are chromite deposit of Maharashtra. And Bairapur area is the locality for chromite deposit of Hassan district, Karnataka. As far as this question is concerned, chromite deposit of Orissa are found in Nausahi Sukinda. In this question, it's Sukinda, so the correct answer is Sukinda. Next question is, bauxite deposits of Ranchi have a composition of about. So before answering this question, you should know a fact that a typical bauxite contains 55 to 65% Al2O3, and for aluminium ore, bauxite should contain at least 50% Al2O3. After knowing this, you can easily answer this question, as the options are 20 to 30% Al2O3. This is incorrect because a typical bauxite contains 55 to 65% Al2O3. Next option says 40 to 50% Al2O3. This is also incorrect because for all aluminium ore, bauxite should contain at least 50% Al2O3, and it is less than 50% definitely. Next option says 50 to 60% Al2O3. This might be the correct answer because a typical bauxite contains 55 to 65% Al2O3, and this percentage ranges between this data. Okay, so this might be the correct answer. Next option is 10 to 20%. This is definitely an incorrect statement. So the correct statement is 50 to 60% Al2O3. Next question says, which mineral is used for the separation of aluminium metal by electrolysis? Okay, so let's check the options. First one is chrysolite. It's a chrysolite. Chrysolite is basically a yellow-green peridotite, and it is not used in electrolysis process in the separation of aluminium ore or aluminium metal. So this is incorrect statement. Next one is chrysotile. Chrysotile is a serpentine asbestos, and it is an excellent non-conductor of heat and electricity, thereby resist fire and electricity, and hence it can't be used in electrolysis process in the separation of aluminium metal. Next one is cryolite. Cryolite is Na3Al6, and this is used in the process of electrolysis, and this process is known as Hall-Héroult process. in which pure Al2O3 is mixed with cryolite, whose composition is this, and alunite, and this reduces the melting point of the mixture and increases its ability to conduct electricity. Okay, and so yeah, cryolite is used in the electrolysis process in the separation of aluminum metal. This is the correct answer. Chiastolite is a variety of Andalusian, and it is also not used in the separation process of aluminum metal by electrolysis. As far as this question is concerned, the correct answer is cryolite. Next question says, which of the following can be used to recover gold by amalgamation? Now, before answering this question, you should know about amalgam. What is amalgam and what is amalgamation? Amalgam is an alloy of mercury with another metal, and the process of formation of this alloy is known as amalgamation. And mercury has been used in gold and silver mining because of the convenience and ease with which mercury and precious metals will amalgamate. And gold amalgam has proved effective where gold powder would not be extractable from ore using hydromechanical methods. So clearly, with all these definitions of amalgamation, it is clear that mercury is used to recover gold by amalgamation. Now let's check the other option also. Zinc is used to extract gold, but the process in which zinc is used to extract gold is known as electrolytic process. And this is from the cyanide solution, and cyanide solution is almost universally accomplished by precipitation with zinc, either in the form of fine thread or dust. This phenomenon is essentially electrical, and therefore it is known as electrolytic process. So zinc is used in the extraction of gold, but by the process electrolytic. Next is copper. Copper is also used in extraction of gold, but the process in which it is used is known as hydrocopper process, in which there is a process which leaching is involved. Okay, so copper is also used in extraction of gold, but the process is hydrocopper process. Magnesite is not used in extraction of gold, though it is used in refractory bricks, furnace linings and crucible, as a magnesium ore, in special cement, in paper, ceramic, glass and sugar industry, in chemical accelerator, in rubber. Okay, so the correct answer of this question is mercury. Next question says, which one of the following is a neutral refractory metal? So in this question there are two words, neutral and refractory. So first let's know what are refractory metals. Refractory metals are those that withstand change in temperature, pressure and chemical environment. And these are basically of three types depending upon their composition corresponding to the reaction that they will withstanding. So first one is acidic refractory, in which silica, quartz, quartzites and Al2SiO polymorphs are present. Second one is neutral refractory, in which chromite, asbestos, graphite and zircon are present. Third one is basic refractory, in which dolomite, magnesite, olivine and bauxite is present. So as far as this question is concerned, first option is chromite, and the question is asking about neutral refractory. So the chromite is a neutral refractory mineral, so you get your correct answer, but let's check other option also. Kyanite is a Al2SiO5 polymorph, and clearly this is acidic refractory. Sillimanite is again Al2SiO5 polymorph, and it is also acidic refractory. Magnesite is a basic refractory mineral. So the correct answer of this question is chromite. Next question says, which one of the following is used in cement industry? So to answer this question, let's know the uses of these ores. If we know the uses of these ores, we can easily answer this question. First one is zinc. Zinc is used in chemical industry. It is used in galvanization, that is coating of iron, and also in alloy making, like brass, which is combination of copper and zinc, and German silver, which is combination of copper, zinc and nickel. So zinc is used in chemical industry. Pyrite is also used in chemical industry and also in making of fertilizers. Gypsum with composition CaSO4.2H2O is used in cement industry. Kyanite, as I told you in previous question, kyanite is a acidic refractory mineral and it is used in refractory industry. So the correct answer of this question is gypsum, which is used in cement industry. Next question says, dinosaur eggshells have been found in the Lametta formation in. So to answer this question, first you should know about Lametta formation. Lametta beds are exposed at Lametta Ghats near Jabalpur, Madhya Pradesh, and these are result of Cretaceous marine transgression of Narmada Valley. So clearly Lametta beds are found in Madhya Pradesh and in Jabalpur. Okay, so all these options are incorrect. The correct answer is Madhya Pradesh. Next question says, trilobites become extinct at the end of. Okay, so let's see the options. First one is Cambrian. Cambrian marks the first appearance of trilobite. So clearly it is not the period when trilobites became extinct. Next one is Devonian. Devonian period marks the first appearance of amphibians, and clearly it is not the period in which trilobites became extinct. Actually, the lifespan of trilobite is from Cambrian to Permian. So clearly it evolves in Cambrian and became extinct at the end of Permian. So the correct answer of this question is Permian, in which trilobites became extinct. At the end of Cretaceous, dinosaurs and ammonites became extinct. Okay, so as far as this question is concerned, the correct answer is Permian. Next question says, grotolites reach their maximum development in. So grotolites mark their first appearance in Ordovician, abundant during Ordovician and got extinct during Silurian. Basically, grotolites have a very short lifespan. So clearly grotolites first appeared in Ordovician, got abundant in Ordovician, but extinct in Silurian. So as far as this question is concerned, this question asks about maximum development. So the correct answer is Ordovician. Cambrian and Carboniferous are incorrect statement. Next question says, ammonites became extinct at the end of. So in question number 132, I told you that ammonites and dinosaurs became extinct at the end of Cretaceous. So clearly the correct answer of this question is Cretaceous. At the Triassic marks the first appearance of ceratids, and in Triassic period there is outburst of ammonites take place after the first appearance of ceratids, and this period, Triassic period, is also sometimes called as age of ceratids. Next is Carboniferous. Carboniferous marks the first appearance of belemnites because belemnites appear for the first time in Carboniferous and became extinct at the end of Cretaceous. And ammonites failed to cross Cretaceous tertiary boundary. Okay, so these are incorrect statements. The correct statement of this question is Cretaceous. Next question says, iron ore group is known from. So the rock succession of iron ore group is exposed in the southern Singhbhum and Keonjhar district and lying unconfirmably over the older metamorphic and was named as iron ore series by S.C. Jones. Clearly, you know Singhbhum is in Jharkhand state and Keonjhar is in Odisha state. So as far as this question is concerned, iron ore group is known from clearly Jharkhand and Odisha. So as far as this question is concerned, the correct answer is Jharkhand, Odisha. Next question says, foramen is found in which of the following? So first of all, what is foramen? Foramen is a circular or subcircular opening, large or small, restricted to pedicle wall for the passage of pedicle, and this is geomorphic feature of brachiopod. This is morphological feature of brachiopods. So the correct answer of this question is brachiopods. These phylums and classes have different morphological features which we will discuss in descriptive series, or you can go through in books also. Next question says, which one of the following is a coral? To answer this question, we should know about all these species, that these belongs to which phylum or which class. So first is Motley-Walthia, and this clearly belongs to coral. This is the correct answer. Second is Globigerina. Globigerina is a foraminifera. This option is incorrect. Cardita belongs to Pelecypoda. So this is also incorrect statement because Cardita belongs to Pelecypoda but not corals. Calamine belongs to trilobite but not corals. So this is also incorrect statement. The correct statement is Motley Valtia, which belongs to coral. Next question says, which one is a plant fossil? To answer this question, you should know about all these species or all these fossils, that these fossils belongs to which family or which class. Okay, so first one is Cygeonura. Cygeonura is a plant fossil. So clearly this question is asking about plant fossil. This is the correct answer. Favosites are tabulate corals. So this is incorrect statement, or you can say this is incorrect option because favosites belong to corals but not plant fossil. Prorectus and Syringothyes, these both belongs to brachiopod. So these are also not plant fossil. So the correct answer is Cygeonura. Next question is, ichnofossil is. Ichnofossil are those indirect fossils that not only give evidence of existence of some organism but also indicate their some sorts of life activities, and these includes tracks, trails, footprints, burrows, caprolites and fecal pellets. Clearly these are a trace fossil. While an index fossil is also known as a guide fossil, which have short geological range and wide geographical distribution. A living fossil is those that has remained essentially unchanged from earlier geologic times and whose close relatives are usually extinct. For example, ginkgo. Okay. So the correct answer of this question, ichnofossil is a trace fossil. Next question says, the fawn limestone contains which one of the following? So fawn limestone belongs to Simmery group of Bingham supergroup, and this contain stromatolites like Collenia columnaris, Conophyta cylindricus and Collenia species. So clearly the correct answer is all of the above because fawn limestone contains all these stromatolites. Okay. So next question says, Jodhpur sandstone is unconfirmably underlain by. So Jodhpur belongs to North Indian Peninsula, and stratigraphy of North Indian Peninsula is Banded Gneissic complex, Aravali group, Rayalo group, Delhi supergroup, Malani igneous shoots, unconformity, and then Jodhpur sandstone. So clearly Jodhpur sandstone is unconfirmably underlain by Malani igneous shoot. So the correct answer of this question is Malani volcanics, and Malani volcanics is one of the largest igneous volcanics of the world. Okay. So as far as this question is concerned, the correct answer is Malani volcanics. Next question is, which of the following represents the correct chronostratigraphic sequence? So as far as chronostratigraphic sequence is concerned, the correct chronostratigraphic sequence is zone, stage, series, system and iradam. Zone is the smallest unit, and corresponding time units of these chronostratigraphic units are phase, age, epoch, period and era. With zone, phase, stage, age, series, epoch, system, period and iradam, era. So as far as this question is concerned, this question is asking about the correct chronostratigraphic sequence. So let's check the options. First, let's start with this zone, stage, system. So this is incorrect because after zone, stage, series should be there. So this is an incorrect statement. These both options are starting from series. So these are clearly incorrect because the sequence is starting from zone. And next option is zone, stage, series, system, iradam. This clearly matches with this sequence: zone, stage, series, system, iradam. So this is the correct statement. Next question says, the boundary between Mesozoic and Cenozoic is approximately at. So to answer this question, you should know about these time units. Okay. So first one is 55 million annum. 55 million annum is boundary between Paleocene and Eocene. 65 million annum is boundary between Mesozoic and Cenozoic. Basically it's 66 million annum, but 66 million annum is close to 65 million annum. So you can say the 65 million annum is boundary between Mesozoic and Cenozoic, and this is what our question is asking about, the boundary between Mesozoic and Cenozoic. So the correct answer is 65 million annum. 75 million annum and 125 million annum lies in Cretaceous period, because Cretaceous period ranges from 145 million annum to 66 million annum. So as far as this question is concerned, the correct answer is 65 million annum. Next question says, Diamondiferous conglomerate occurs in which one of the following? So first one is Riva group, Semeri group, Bhandir group, and Camor group. So to answer this question, let's know something about Riva group. The Riva group is separated from underlying section of Camor group by a diamond-bearing horizon of conglomerate, and also the upper limit of Riva group, which is separated from overlying Bhandir group by diamond-bearing conglomerate horizon. So clearly, Riva group contains diamond-bearing horizon in its lower unit as well as in upper unit. So clearly, Riva group contains diamondiferous conglomerate. So the correct answer is Riva group. Semar group, Bhandir group, and Camor group, these all are devoid of diamondiferous conglomerate. And one more thing, the famous Panna diamond field of India is situated in the country of Riva rocks. So yeah, the correct answer is Riva group as far as the question is concerned. Next question says, the Salkhala group is overlain by. So let's know something about Salkhala group. Salkhala group is the oldest rock succession of Precambrian time of northwest Himalaya, named by D.N. Wadia, and it is stratigraphically overlain by Dogra slates, which is of Cambrian time. So let's check the options. Talcher formation. Talcher formation belongs to lower Gondwana succession and is of upper Carboniferous to lower Permianese. Next one is Dogra slates. Dogra slates is clearly the correct answer because this Salkhala group is overlain by Dogra slates in Cambrian. Okay, so this is the correct answer. Mandali formation belongs to Tejan group of Kumaon Himalaya and it overlays Deoband formation. So this is clearly not an correct answer. Talcher formation, I told you about Talcher formation. This belongs to lower Gondwana succession. Then Gneissic rocks. Most of the Gneissic rocks are act as basement for all the stratigraphic succession. So this is also not the correct answer. Okay, so as far as the question is concerned, Dogra slates are the correct answer. Next question is, in Kashmir, the mud quartzite is conformably overlain by. So mud quartzite belongs to the Paleozoic succession of Kashmir Valley, Kashmir Lidar Valley, better say. And this is the succession of Paleozoic of Kashmir Lidar Valley, in which Dogra slates overlain by Hapatnar group. It is overlain by mud quartzite. Mud quartzite is overlain by Syringothyris and so on. So the question is asking about mud quartzite, and mud quartzite is clearly overlain by Syringothyris limestone. So the correct answer is Syringothyris limestone. While Panjal volcanic is overlain by Jivan formation, and Fenestella shale is overlain by agglomeratic slate series. Okay, so the correct answer of this question is Syringothyris limestone. Next question says, which one of the following is an upper Gondwana flora? So first one is Gangamopteris. Gangamopteris is clearly belongs to lower Gondwana flora and it is of Umaria beds. It belongs to Umaria beds. Tylophyllum, Pachyphyllum and all the plant fossils, these belongs to upper Gondwana flora. So you have your correct answer, upper Gondwana flora. Rest of these Vertebraria and Glossopteris, these belongs to lower Gondwana flora. Okay, so the correct answer of this question is Tylophyllum. Stegodon is characteristic fossil for fish formation. So first of all, Stegodon is a mammalian fossil, and mammalian fossil Shivalik group contains ample amount of mammalian fossils, mammalian vertebrate fossils. So Camlial formation, Pinjore formation, Nagari formation and Dokfatan formation, these all belongs to Shivalik group of Cenozoic. Okay, so as far as Camlial formation is concerned, the mammalian fossils which are present in Camlial formation, or you can say characteristic fossils which are present in Camlial formation, are Acirathyrum, Telemastodon, Tetrabelodon and Anthropoids. As far as Pinjore Formation is concerned, Elephas planiferus and hemibos are characteristic fossil of Pinjore Formation. In Nagari Formation, Mastodon, Ramapithecus, which are primate fossil, Hipparion and Prostegodon are characteristic fossil for Nagari Formation. As far as Jog-Patan Formation is concerned, it is the richest formation which contains vertebrate mammalian fossil assemblies, and it contains Stegodon, Mastodon and Girophoid sus as characteristic mammalian fossil. So clearly the question is asking about Stegodon, and Stegodon is characteristic fossil for Jog-Patan Formation. So this is the correct statement. Next question says, when did the first plants appear on the land? So these are periods. You have to tell that in which period the first plants appear on the land. First one is Cambrian. Cambrian marks the appearance of trilobites and brachiopods. Ordovician marks the appearance of graptolites and also abundance of graptolites. So this is also an incorrect answer. Next option is Silurian. Silurian marks the first appearance of land plant, or you can say first land plants appear in Silurian. So this is the correct answer. While Devonian marks the appearance of first amphibians. Okay. So as far as this question is concerned, the correct answer is Silurian, in which first land plants appear. Next question says, Sargor cyst complex is. So Sargor cyst complex is. So to answer this question, you should know about the Precambrian basement of Dharwar Craton. Okay. So starting with Goru gneiss, which forms the basement for Dharwar Craton, then Sargor cyst, then Peninsular Gneissic complex along with Unconformity, and then Dharwar supergroup, which consists of Baba Budan group, Chitradurg and Rani Bingur, and then Closepit granite. So clearly this is the oldest and this is the youngest. Closepit granite is the youngest. Okay. And age gradually decreases from Goru gneisses to Closepit granite. So clearly Sargor cyst is oldest among Peninsular Gneissic complex, Dharwar supergroup and Closepit granite, but younger than Goru gneiss. So clearly the question says the Sargor complex is first one is older than Dharwar group. So this is the correct statement. Younger than Dharwar group, this is incorrect statement, because younger than Dharwar group there is Closepit granite. Equivalent to Closepit granite, this is totally incorrect statement, because Closepit granite is the youngest and Sargor cyst is one of the oldest Precambrian basement of Dharwar, and younger than Papagni group. Papagni, this is also incorrect, because Papagni group belongs to Kadapa supergroup and Kadapa supergroup is almost younger than Closepit granite. So the correct answer of this question is older than Dharwar group. So here I am completing 2010 question paper solution. If you like the video, let me know on comment section, and please let me know what was your favorite part in this video. And if you love the content, please do not forget to like the video, press on